Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tea and Crystals podcast. I am T.
And I'm Crystal.
I am so excited to have you all here for the inaugural episode of the Tea and Crystals podcast. Crystal, are you as hyped as I am?
I'm so excited. I mean, we've been working on
Uh,
this for a year now, and we have
yeah,
so many practice episodes, but like this is
yep.
our first episode that people
The
are actually
people,
going to see.
the people don't even know what they are in store for
No.
if they ever get to see them episodes
Yes.
because
And I'm
a
sure
few
they
of them are
will.
crunchy.
I'm sure they will. There and
I think
and
y'all
you
will.
know, there's been there's some of them because a lot of them are video podcasts, so you can see the
Mm-hmm.
transition from like when we first started to how we are now, like the setup, the
Mm-hmm.
lighting. it's
Yep.
it's it's been it's been a learning experience.
Yeah. I was damn near recording in the dark when we first started recording. So if y'all see them early episodes and then y'all see what I got now, y'all gonna be like, oh my God. Like he done bought a whole studio, like, studio lighting. If y'all could see my real setup, y'all be like, oh my God, he's working magic. Um Crystal, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm doing really good. I'm really excited. I mean, it's our first episode, so
Mhm.
I'm really happy right now. How are you doing?
You know what? I am feeling the same exact way. I am excited to get this podcast out there to the people. I'm excited for people to
Mhm.
see. We really worked on this thing over the past year to get
Mhm.
it right. And I feel like we are at a place now where we can deliver something pretty good
Yes.
to the people,
Yes.
and,
It's
and people
definitely
will
not
enjoy it.
perfect. It's definitely not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We're still going to have some kinks and stuff like that we're going to have to work
Mm-hmm.
through, but I definitely
Yeah.
feel like we're at a place where we can at least, like you said, start showing people
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Cause I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. Y'all can probably hear my throat is ready to give out for the night. We Crystal and I had a pre show meeting, and my by the time now that we're here, my throat is like, all right, good night. Because Crystal and I, if y'all don't know, we are operating at a 6 hour difference.
Mhm.
It is as we are recording right now. It's damn near 10 o'clock. So that means it's what 4 o'clock your time, almost four
Yeah.
o'clock your
It's
time.
4 o'clock. Yep. Yep.
Exactly. So my throat is ready for bed. And but we finna get through this thing together. We
Yes,
finna
because
get
we
through this thing
have
together.
a really cool episode. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
excited. You're
Yeah.
definitely going to see a lot of these types of episodes. It's our favorite
Yeah.
thing to do. We are
So
going
is.
down the Reddit rabbit hole today.
Ooh. Crystal, you
Um,
are up first. I'm excited to see
I
what the hell
am.
you got for me.
Okay, so I have a story for you. I have a today I fucked up story. This is one of my favorite stories.
Mm,
I
okay.
read this. It's part of the best of Reddit
Mm,
section. And I'm so excited to share with you guys. So if anybody's really big on Reddit and you've gone through things like this, like the best of Reddit and stuff like that, you've probably read this one. But for those of you who haven't, it's a real treat. It's so funny. I'm gonna try and get through this without laughing too much. But I will say, I will preface this, guys. One of the things that we found while doing our practice episode is that while we have read our own stories, the other
Mm,
person generally doesn't know what the
mhm.
story is about. And with that being said, while I have read this story, it has been a while since I've read this story. So there's
Yep.
a very good chance that it's going to seem like I don't know how to read because people and their
Yeah.
punctuation and their
You know
grammar.
what? And I'm glad you said that because let's make this clear right now because I don't want y'all in the comments. I don't want y'all in my DM. I don't want y'all on y'all Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I don't know if TikTok got stories because I don't have TikTok. Y'all stories talking about the T and Chris's podcast can't read. We can read.
They stutter.
They just can't write. Okay, they don't use punctuation, and you know what? I don't have the time to rewrite what the hell they wrote. So whatever they wrote is what I'm finna read to y'all. And if it don't have
Exactly.
punctuation, I'm gonna read it like it don't have punctuation. So
Exactly.
y'all better get the gist and keep it pushing. Because
Okay.
I bet if I put a fifth grade book in front of y'all and tell y'all, you know what, we ain't gonna do all that. Sorry.
Okay. So this is today I fucked up. by throwing my steak out a window. This is a good one. And it has an update too. So there's, or not, I wouldn't say an update, but there's a second part to it. So anyways, last night, my wife's boss from her brand new job invited us over for dinner. On the drive over, my wife reiterated many times to me just how important it was to make a good impression. I scoffed and arrogantly informed my silly wife that I always make good impressions. My wife's boss is a single lady in her 50s, so it was just the three of us. We chit-chatted over drinks and salads. we chit-chatted over drinks and salads and seemed to really be hitting it off. She laughed at my well-timed, perfectly appropriate jokes, and my wife seemed pleased. Soon, she brought out the main course, a nice, big, juicy steak for each of us. As I began to cut into my steak, I was discouraged to discover how undercooked this steak was. Now, I've had my fair share of rare steak. I prefer medium, but I can handle rare. This was several minutes on a hot grill short of rare. I probably could have resuscitated the cow had I tried. Instead, I stabbed...
Not resuscitate cow on the table, sir.
And I'm the same way. I do not like my steak that rare. Anyways, I sat there fidgeting with my knife and fork, worrying about how I was going to get away with not eating this steak.
You got to take one for the team, player. You got to choke it down.
Oh. Where was? Okay, claim veganism? No. I'd already feigned great enthusiasm upon seeing the steak. Just then, our hostess excused herself to the kitchen to take care of some dessert preparations. As I looked across the fancy dining room table at the open window of this third-story apartment, a cartoon light bulb appeared over my head.
Sir, stop. Just stop right now. Just stop right now. You are already ahead. You are in a good position to have a successful evening. Stop right now.
He did not stop right now.
And you know what?
I knew I had to be decisive, realizing that she could return at any moment. I committed. I grabbed the steak with my hand, gently shook off the juice, and executed a perfect throw right through the center of the open window. Here's the big time FU. The window wasn't open. It was the cleanest.
And that's what your ass did. That's what your ass did. That's what you get.
It was the cleanest freaking window you've ever seen in your life. That is until my mostly raw slab of steak slammed up against it and slowly slid down, leaving a trail of bloody juice in its wake.
I bet it did. I bet it did. The biggest mess you've ever seen in your life.
My wife, whose steak was a nice medium rare and was unaware of my predicament, turned, jaw dropped, and stared at me like I was an alien from another planet.
We're not talking about divorce. Divorce. How could you ever... You know what? I'm going to let you finish.
Let me finish. Okay. This look then slowly morphed into more of the "there is no place on this planet you can ever hide from me" expression of demonic anger. My wife's boss heard the thud of the steak on window impact and came quickly. She took in the scene, the steak sitting on the windowsill, the bloody trail, my empty plate, and then gave me an inquisitive, puzzled look. I just didn't know what to say. It felt like a minute of silence, but was probably 3 or 4 seconds. Finally, the best I could manage was, "I'm so sorry. I'm such a klutz. I don't know. I was just cutting it and it slipped." Just ask my wife.
You know what? You need to get the hell out of my house. You have to get the hell out of... What kind of steak cutting are you doing where the knife gets stuck on that steak and you pull that hole so hard that you hit the allegedly open window behind you? Because number one, you offended me and my steak already. How you think? You know what? How you think? Like,
Okay,
sir,
hold
do
on.
you think you was gonna tell it? Sorry. Please, please, please.
Just ask my wife. I really am a klutz, right, honey? No help coming from that direction. I will
Absolutely
clean.
not.
I will
You're
clean
on
this
your
up.
own.
I will clean this up. I can't believe this. I'm so sorry, etc., etc. Both women continued to stare at me like I had escaped from the loony bin as I smeared the blood around the window with my cloth napkin, dusted off the steak,
Not a
and
cloth napkin.
continued to mutter my incoherent explanation. I knew no one was buying the story. I knew what I had to do. I sheepishly returned to my seat and proceeded to eat every bite of that disgusting, cold, chewy, bloody raw
Cold.
steak. I,
Okay, well, now I'm on your side.
I remained pretty quiet the rest of the evening. My wife's only two words to me since the incident are, I'm fine.
Divorce. She got the papers in the mail. She left a
One of
note in the
the
hallway.
one of the top comments, someone said, "Let's say the window was open and the steak is gone." She returns a minute later. What
The
were you
hell was you gonna say happened to that steak?
exactly?
You ate a whole steak in 30 seconds. You just ate that whole steak in 30 seconds. While your wife
So
is sitting there, knife and fork,
right,
waiting for
that
her
was
boss to get back.
like the fact that his first reaction to this isn't to say, oh, this is a little undercooked, or even look at his wife's plate and be like, honey, you
Switch
want
with
to
me.
switch? You want to switch? No, he's gonna, because mind
Let me
you,
tell you something.
the boss went to get some dessert, so he couldn't look at his
Mm-hmm.
wife in that moment and be like, honey, my steak's a little undercooked. It's too much
Mm-hmm.
for me to be able to eat. Like, is this something that you could eat? Can we switch?
Mm-hmm.
That those would have been reasonable things. But the fact that your
Right.
first thought is to see a window and think it's open and then throw the steak out there. Like, what were you going to tell the
Mm-hmm.
lady happened to the steak? Is it on a bone? What were you going to tell her that happened to the
And I
bone?
need
Because you
y'all
can't
to
say,
remember. I need y'all to remember that y'all bosses are still human beings. I bet y'all boss, if y'all were to follow y'all boss out for a day of shopping, they going to Ross, they going to TJ Maxx, they going to the regular places just like you are. They ain't no better off than you for real, for real, for real.
right.
Unless they own the company. And even if they own the company, don't kiss them people ass. Like, let them people know you have to eat. You're
Yep.
not a number. You're not, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
don't I'm not holding my tongue from nobody. If you put a plate in front of me of something that I don't like, sorry, plate, I'm not eating it. If you
Mm-hmm.
put a raw steak in front of me, if this whole still mooing on the plate and you
Mm-hmm.
put it in front of me, absolutely not.
Right.
Karen, all right, yeah, great. You're her boss, right? Sensational. You're not mine. Great. Put this back on the grill and stop playing with me. You trying to kill me tonight. You trying to have my stomach doing somersaults, backflips, and in the open tuck in the middle of the
Mm-hmm.
night.
Right.
Absolutely not. Put this cow back on the grill and bring me
Yeah.
a steak.
At the very least, you could have at least like tried to eat maybe not even
The
half of it and just be
outside.
like, oh, I'm so full, thank you so much. Eat the sides, I'm assuming, if there's sides.
Mm-hmm.
And but
Mm-hmm.
anyways, so there's actually a part two to this. That the wife wrote the same type of story, but from her perspective.
Mm.
So she said, my husband told this today I fucked up from his perspective a couple of years ago, and it was a popular post. Someone suggested I should tell it from my perspective. So she goes, I had just gotten a brand new job that I was really excited about. So I was delighted when my boss, who I had been trying to establish a rapport with, invited me and my husband over to her home for dinner. Well, mostly delighted. My husband is, well, he's the sweetest, but he has a history of doing really dumb shit. Because of this, I was worried about him coming along. She
Not
knew.
her calling him
I know.
sweet
She
but
knew ahead of
dumb.
time.
Like, she was like, he is borderline. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not finna get canceled before we
It's
get
the first
started.
episode. It's the first episode.
Yeah, let me chill out.
Okay. By the time the day of the dinner arrived, I had become so anxious about it that I actually floated the idea by my boss that I wasn't sure if he would be able to make it. She was clearly taken aback and responded, "Oh no, I really hope he can. I have a dinner for 3 all ready to go." Upon seeing her dismay, I assured her that I was sure he would find a way to be there. Well, we made it over to her apartment on time and things actually started out really, really well. It was actually just the three of us, which surprised me somewhat, but made me a little less concerned about my husband, as crowds
Mhm.
really tend to bring out his unpredictability.
You know what? I don't mean to interrupt you, Crystal, but truly, I have to bring this point because this is a common thread between these two stories, and I have to mention it now before I forget. This boss seemed kind of weird, only because they both mentioned the fact that it is only the three of them, and the boss seems a little bit too excited for him to be there. I don't know if she been Facebook stalking this lady and she like her man or something, or she trying to have, she got a pineapple on the door. People who people who know what that is will get that, and y'all will
Mm-hmm.
be dying laughing. Or they got a flamingo in the front yard. People who know about that, type of shit will they'll understand what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? This don't sound. It sound like she made. You know what? Maybe he made the right move because it may have been what did Bill? Oh, I can't say his name. Uh, they used to call him Mickey's back in the day. You
Mm.
know, put you under. You know
Right,
what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
And she
Yeah, yeah,
trying to
yeah.
maybe he was saving his own life and didn't even know it
I don't know.
because me being me, I
Mm.
would have heard, oh yeah, my boss is really excited for you to come to the dinner tonight. My first thought would have been, oh, I'm not going. Absolutely not. You're not
See,
going to be too hyped for me to come.
I
Mm-mm,
think
I
it's
don't know
more this.
you.
I think it's more along the lines of I just bought three really expensive steak, and now one of y'all ain't showing up.
But that means two really expensive steaks for you, ma'am. Like this is a
True.
win-win situation for you. You don't have to entertain an extra person. You get more
Tr-
wine,
See,
more bread,
I would
and
be
more
excited.
expensive steak.
That's what I would be excited about. Oh, I
You
don't.
know
I
what I'm
don't have
saying?
to. I only have to entertain one of y'all.
Let me tell you
Great.
something. Because if I'm throwing a function and somebody saying they can't come, that that is a rose in my bush.
I am okay with that.
I am okay with that.
Okay. I'll be like, oh, that sucks. Oh, I'm so sad that he can't
Damn.
come.
Well,
Oh.
I'll put your cocktail in the refrigerator and make sure I drink it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I had just started to finally relax and was a couple of bites into a deliciously cooked steak when things took a horrible, horrible turn. My boss had just stepped into the kitchen to check on dessert when I noticed something odd out of the corner of my eye. It was one of those things where you know something strange is happening
Oh,
in your peripheral, but you're not sure what. You have to look over and focus your gaze to really comprehend it. I looked over at my husband and see him holding his steak in his hand, hovering it just an inch or two above his plate. Before I had had a chance to fully comprehend what I was seeing and verbalize something that might have saved all of us from the coming horror, he threw his steak baseball style across the room straight
not.
into the dining room window. It hit it hit the window, making a loud noise, and slowly slid down. Now, my husband does dumb shit. I already told you that. But he's not a crazy person. Usually, when he does dumb shit, I at least understand what he's thinking. There's usually some semblance of rhyme or reason to the dumb shit. In this case, I was just dumbfounded. I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't wrap my head around what was going on. I stared at him with what must have been the most confused look and watched as he stared back at me, an expression of utter horror painted across his face. I couldn't make any sense of what was happening, but I also didn't have time to try. I heard the footsteps of my boss coming to see what the sound was. It suddenly sunk in that it didn't matter why he did what he did. He did it, and we were all about to come face to face with a very awkward situation. I could
Mm-hmm.
I could feel the anger flush through my face. For a brief moment, I contemplated trying to help my husband get out of this, but no. This was his dumb shit bed, and he could lie in it. Not
I
like
know
there was
that's
any
right.
possible recovery, anyways. My boss walks in and sees the steak lying on the windowsill. There's the fucking longest, most awkward pause where we all just sit there frozen. My boss and I are staring at my husband, forcing the ball into his court as the cringe just hangs in the air like an ocean fog. Oh, I can just like feel how awkward this, like, I'm getting
Absolutely
secondhand
not.
awkwardness from hearing this from her perspective.
But you know what's bothering me? You know what's bothering me? The timeline of this story. Because how did he only have a chance to carve into his steak for the boss to go in the kitchen to check on dessert? Did she sit down and take one bite of the steak and was like, "Oh, well, I guess I need to check on dessert"? Like, do you want me to go home?
I
Like, do I need
mean,
to leave immediately? Like, I will pack this steak and go home. Like, I don't need to be here.
I feel like from his perspective, when he first cut into it and he saw how rare it was, he was probably like fiddling and finding all the different ways on how he could not eat the steak while they were
Eating
actually
all the
eating.
sides and everything else.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
while, if she's making dessert, if she's like baking something, then yeah, at some point you're probably gonna have to want to go and check in real quick to make sure everything's,
Hmm.
nothing's burning down. So I can see where the timeline is going.
And I'm like, why would you make steak? Like, if you inviting somebody, steak is for me.
Hmm.
Steak is the last thing I'm making if somebody come over my house. Like, because it's
That's
too time sensitive. You know what I'm saying?
that's the first thing my mom's making. She loves steak. That is her go-to.
I can't entertain nobody if I'm making steak. Like, y'all finna be in another room and I'm finna be in here making steak. You know what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying?
yeah, true.
Like, I had to have something that's already in the oven or already on the stove, something that's cooking for hours,
Yeah.
or something that's really quick
Yeah.
that I'm making for me to actually be able to entertain and cook at the same time. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I mean, no, because I don't cook, but yeah.
Well, you was here. You was
I get
here.
what you were saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
and
get what you're
and
saying.
you know what I'm saying. Our meals, I feel like we're pretty quick ones, or
Hmm.
ones that I just put in the oven, and then it
Yeah.
wasn't nothing that I had to labor over, so I was gone for a long
Yeah.
time.
Because when you're entertaining, you want to have conversation and all that stuff. You don't want
You
to
know
just
what
be in
I'm
the kitchen.
saying. You want to entertain.
Hmm.
You
Yep.
know.
He finally manages to mutter some incoherent garbage about being a klutz and even tries to get me to back him up. I leave his ass out to dry in the deafening
I know that's
silence.
right.
He makes a poor
I
attempt at cleaning the window and retrieves his steak. Mercifully, my boss asks me a question about work and we both dive eagerly into the conversation. We all assume the rest of the evening pretending that he isn't there. Oh, we all resume, sorry. The rest of the evening pretending that he isn't there. A sort of unspoken agreement by all that this is the only way to move forward. As soon as we got to the car, my husband turned into a nervous chatterbox trying to explain himself. Turns out the dumbass didn't like the way his steak was cooked, rare. And get this, he thought the window was open. My husband, ladies and gentlemen, tried to chuck his steak out a 3-story window. He thought that was a reasonable solution to being served an undercooked steak. A year or so later, my boss hosted a Christmas party for the company in her newly built home. My best friend Jenny was my plus one.
You know what?
Someone said, I can't wait to hear from the boss's perspective in a few years. And someone else wrote, I can't wait to hear from the steak's perspective.
The steaks. You know what? It would have been on his way to the window. That's ridiculous.
I
That's
need
ridiculous.
someone,
It's ridiculous on everyone's part. Number one, boss, why are you making steak? Number two, you know what? The only person that's innocent in this is the wife.
that's
She's
true.
the only
The
one who
poor
did
wife.
everything right.
But you know what? No, I wouldn't say that because she knew her husband. She did try to get him out of the situation. Maybe she should have stuck with that original thought
Of not getting him out the
of not
situation.
of not having him there. Of being like, yeah, I'm so sorry, but he has his own work thing, so
Listen, because that's really my sticking point. Why is it you, the husband, and your boss, like, and why are you having dinner at the boss's house like that? To me, I would never. I'm not
right,
going to my boss's house to have no dinner. Like, I could see you and your husband meeting her out somewhere.
right,
You know what
right,
I'm saying?
yeah,
Trying to court her for a promotion or something.
right,
But I'm not going to your house.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
weird.
that's how they did it back in the day, I guess. I don't know.
Ain't all right. Well,
But I will say, when I read this story, like I really need someone because this reminded me of a uh for anyone who's our age, who's getting up there in age,
Yeah, y'all.
if you've
Yeah,
seen
that's crazy.
if you've seen Mr. Bean when we were little, if you've seen the Mr. Bean show, I, that's a perfect example of a sketch
I,
that no Mr. Bean for
I,
you.
mm-mm.
How sad
I
for
didn't
you.
even see Pee Wee Herman. I've never
You know
seen
what,
none
I
of that.
really didn't see Pee Wee Herman either, but I did see, we used to
Mm.
watch Mr. Bean a lot um with my nana and grandma when we would go out to Massachusetts, and uh it's more of a silent comedy. Like he doesn't speak in almost all the
Mm.
episodes. So all the comedy is physical. And this is one of those situations where I feel like it would have been a good sketch. I need someone to do like a cartoon of it or something like that.
Is Mr. Bean still alive?
Yes.
Is
Yes, I
he?
think I think his name is Rowan Atkins or something like that. But yeah, he's still alive.
What? How old is he? Let
Mhm.
me see. He's only 68?
Yeah.
What?
Mhm.
I thought, okay, maybe I'm embarrassing myself, but I thought Mr. Bean was like from the 60s. But it can't be because he's only 68. And then, okay, you know what? We're not going to do the math live because I'm embarrassed myself. But if he's 68, that means he was born in the 50s. So there's no way. When the hell was Mr. Bean out?
I mean, I was a kid in the 90s, so
Damn. I was born in the 90s.
I mean, I was born in the 90s, but whatever. Whatever. Tell your story.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Well, let me go ahead and pull the story up for the votes. Um, if I can find it here live on the podcast.
Because you're supposed to
No, I
already have it
can't.
up.
I thought I did, but it's gone. Oh my God. I think I opened it in the same tab that you sent me something earlier. Embarrassing. Hey, embarrassing. Oh, wait.
Wow.
Why
Way to make it really look like
is
we know what we're
this
doing.
not up? I'm embarrassed. Uh-huh. Trying to get to it now. Y'all, I'm gonna get to, you know what? I'm gonna just rap to y'all like an old school y'all, back in the night, or not the 90s, the 70s, where they used to be like, I picked up a stick on the street. Dee 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 ski ski ski. You know what I'm saying? Um
No. No, because I wasn't born in the 70s. I was born in the
oh, okay.
90s.
You was
Yeah.
you were barely born in the 90s, yeah. I'm gonna find this rabbit hole. I'm going hole. I'm gonna find the mole. Yeah, da da da. Okay, here we go. Um, ooh wee. Okay, y'all. This is an am I the a hole? You know what? We're not gonna do say fuck it. This is an am I the asshole? And this am I the asshole is entitled Am I the asshole for telling a friend that I can't be there after her F buddy died? And F stands for friend you can keep. That's an acronym, so y'all know what them first letters are. And the story goes a little something like this.
Just thinking F was a meaning for something else.
Female?
No.
Oh.
Think a little dirtier.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Friend you can keep.
Oh, okay. Okay.
F the acronym. So the story goes like this. My friend started and once again I'm gonna warn y'all, I'm reading this fresh. Punctuation is a thing. I can read. Don't play in my comments. All right, here we go. My friend started seeing this guy who told her he was married and had kids. He just wanted a sexual relationship. She was okay with it, so she said. 6 months later, she was mad that he didn't want to leave his wife for her, and she went to tell his wife. Sorry. So that ended their little setup, but his wife forgave him. 4 years later, my friend contacts him again on Facebook. She apologizes and tells him that now she's ready for a sexual only relationship. Everything's going great for 6 months. And after a quick morning session, he tells her that he's not feeling well. He drives home and dies after getting home. Sorry, that's not funny.
I was about to say,
Crystal,
yeah, yeah, heartless. This is
why would
this
you
is
make that face? Because I was doing so well. I was doing so well until you made a face. Okay, here we go.
this is not a funny situation. Okay, go.
No, this is not a funny situation at all. And so I don't know why I'm fighting laughter. Um my friend finds out because sorry. My friend finds out because she doesn't hear from him for some days and calls a mutual friend of theirs who tells her. She's hysterical when she calls me. I get that it's a shock. Okay, I want to inform the readers that she's writing this in staccatos. Like she's not writing complete sentences. It's literally like
Mm-hmm.
4 words, period. 4 words, period. Like I've never seen this type of writing before. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm struggling to get through it. Because this sentence literally says, I get that it's a shock, period. Okay, where's the rest of the context? Or where's the rest of the sentence? Okay, anyway. His wife has found her secret messages on his phone. My friend finds out the date of his burial. You know what? I'm actually going to read this exactly how it's written. His wife found their secret messages on his phone. My friend finds out the date of his burial. She insists she's going. I tell her not to. She attends. His sister tells her to go home. Every time we talk, she's talking about him and how she's visiting his grave and is leaving little trinket hearts in frames by his grave.
Oh,
I asked her if she has thought about his wife and kids, if she's thought about how his wife and kids might feel about this. But she insists that she's mourning and that this is her way of dealing with it. I might be insensitive, but I tell her I find it disrespectful. And that if it was her husband, how would she want her dead husband's F buddy doing that? So in her own words, I'm insensitive and I'm probably an a-hole. I'm just confused when she has told me many times that their rendezvous were just sex. She said it was just sex, but and that's all she wanted. So am I the asshole for putting some distance between this friend and myself and not being there as much as I probably would have been? You know what? And that's the end of it because the audience, I am going we said this on a previous episode, but I'm going to start editing these because these people cannot, the American education system is failing our children. It's failing our children because there is no way on earth y'all should be this bad at writing. There is no
well,
way on earth y'all should be this bad.
there's no guarantee that it's the American system because a lot of people post on Reddit from all over.
This is an American.
This is American.
This is an American. Just
Okay.
by the way that she's putting this story together and talking about putting trinkets on the grave and stuff. I don't
Right.
know many Europeans that do too much when it comes to burials and stuff. I don't know anybody who does as much as Americans, to be honest, other than
Mm.
Asians maybe. But
Mm-hmm.
this is definitely an American.
Right. Well, I'm definitely gonna go with not the asshole in this one because
Mm.
I mean I'm with you. I think you bring up valid points. To me it was very obvious when she reached out to him second time that she must have had feelings for him because uh, I even though 4 years had passed, the fact that you still reached out to him to again resume the relationship by saying, "Oh, I'm ready to just have a sexual relationship." No, you weren't. You were not.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever feelings you had, it was still there. You were lying to yourself. You just missed him and wanted to continue doing what you were doing. Screw that guy for continuing to do what he did and doing that to his wife and kids. Some people just really
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be in relationships. Um, but yeah,
But
I
it's the fact
not
that she went and told the wife at the very beginning
right,
when
right,
she said that, or she was okay with that, but it
mhm,
ended up she wasn't. So then she went and told the wife
right.
and then
So
came back to him again.
well, the fact that he like that she did that, and then when she came back to him and was like, "Okay, I'm ready to have just a sexual relationship," that you would put yourself in that situation with this woman, knowing that she is capable
Mm-hmm.
of switching up her feelings and going back to the wife and telling her all this stuff that's been
Mm-hmm.
happening.
That was one of
That
my first thoughts too.
that's dumb on your part too. Like, why would you want
Mm-hmm.
to add that stress to your life? But I will say, like, I'm not saying she shouldn't be mourning because, like I said, obviously she had feelings for him, because she had to lie to him to get him to continue seeing her. But that's a silent mourning you need to do. That's a you. The fact that you're going to his grave and leaving trinkets so that when his wife and kids
Mm-hmm.
visit that they're going to see it and they're going to know, well, this isn't from us. And they're probably going to ask friends and family, well, did you guys leave it? Did you guys? No, they're going to, when they see hearts and stuff like that, she's going to probably know that it's from his mistress. So why? Like, you don't need to
Yeah.
be leaving that stuff. He's not going to know it's there. So that's not
Right.
for
Ooh.
you. That's not for you.
And
That's
you
for his
know
family.
what? She said he ain't gonna know it's there.
I mean,
Okay. Well, she made a little edit and she was like, I don't know how this is happening, but she said some people in the comments were questioning her morals and I guess for entertaining the friend even after she was having an affair with a married man. I guess that's what the people are questioning her about. Because they're like, well, how you got a problem with her going to the grave if you didn't have a problem with her having the affair in the first place? Which, I mean, that won't
but
none of
she
her
didn't
business.
say that wasn't any of her business, but she also didn't say that she didn't have a problem with it.
You know
You
what I'm saying?
know,
Well,
one
she
of
actually did say that she did have a problem with it. She was like, girl, don't do that. Like,
right, right, right.
leave that
But
man
it's like
alone.
I've been in that situation. I knew one of my close friends, she was in a relationship. She was feeling someone that she was working with who was also in a relationship, and she told me, she was like, I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to, like, before anything happened. And I told her, why are you going to, what's the point? Like, you,
Mm-hmm.
especially because I already knew her relationship, that the person she was with, that was not the person for her. And I told her, I was like, but some people, they need to experience things for themselves, and they're not going to listen to you,
Mm-hmm.
their friends, when they say this. But that doesn't mean I was just going to drop her because she was doing something that I
Exactly.
wouldn't do, that I didn't approve of. I mean, I still love this person. So,
We've all
you
had
know,
friends who have done some questionable things, in
mhm.
that regard.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I really am a subscriber of that's none of my business. Like
Yeah.
if it ain't, it don't have any, it really doesn't have anything to do with me. So the only
Mhm.
thing I can do is I can tell you, how I feel about it. Which I mean, if the friend didn't who wrote this didn't do that in that situation, she probably should have, because that anybody that's my friend knows I'm not finna take your side automatically. Like, you got to give me the
Mhm.
scenario, and I'm gonna be like,
Mhm.
well, dog, I don't know if you should have. You know what I'm saying? Like, you finna get the
Right.
truth from me. I'm not finna just
I
tell you,
can't
oh yeah, you know,
Yeah, I can't say for sure that you're right in this situation. Sorry, just because we're friends.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I
with you on
can't I
that.
can't do that. I can't just blindly follow you into a bad decision. Like, if it's a bad decision, it's a bad decision, and I ain't finna scold you about it, but I'm fixing to tell you, what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I would have done that.
Right.
So if there was anything that she did wrong in this situation, I can't even say that's wrong. But if there's anything I would have done in this situation, I would have told her from Jump Street, you don't need to be doing that. But
Right.
I can't say that
And
you're wrong for not saying that because it won't none of your business. She was
right,
gonna do it whether she
exactly.
wanted to or not.
Exactly. So like I said, I don't think she's the asshole in the situation. Uh
No.
I don't think that um I don't think she's wrong for wanting to wanting now to distance herself from her, because the way she's acting
Mm.
now, like I that would be problematic for me too. So if you want me to be a shoulder for you to cry on and boo-hoo me in this situation, because when you're doing these things, and yeah, I would probably tell my friend, be like, look, this I don't condone this. Like this isn't okay. I understand you're mourning, but like you need to stop doing this stuff. You need to, because
Hmm.
you're infringing on this family. You're
Yeah.
making it about you, and it's not
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah.
So I can
Yeah.
understand wanting to distance yourself in that regard.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, that was it
Yes,
for me, Crystal. Do you have another one for us?
I do. Okay. Let me see. Okay, I do. And I think I have it saved on my.
I'm excited to hear this because, and this is one I have not heard. So,
Yeah.
but man, from the last letter, leave that man in his grave alone. You know what you know what I am gonna say it. Fuck it. What kind of devil, devil dart killer punani you got where that man leaned up off of you and said, you know what, I don't feel so good. And then he immediately died after arriving home. Like,
Mm-mm.
I don't know what kind of, I can't call it karma because I'm sure, y'all was hunching before he died. But for him to get up out that thing and keel over and die, I don't know what I think the conversation, ma'am, that you might need to have with your friend is about an appointment to the gynecologist. Cause I don't know what type of killer coochie she got, but God bless it. I don't know. Maybe you know what? Maybe that's why she is so keen on going to that grave because she's apologizing. She's like, you know what? I didn't mean to put this thing on you. I didn't know how strong it was. I didn't know this thing was killer. I didn't know this thing was
Okay.
classified as a deadly weapon. You know.
All right. So I also have an Am I the Asshole one. And this
Mm-hmm.
is called Am I the Asshole for Not Sharing My Inheritance with the Rest of My Family? And she used family in quotation marks. So,
Woo! I'm looking forward to this.
all right. My family situation is messy. I, 25 female, was engaged 4 years ago to my high school sweetheart. My fiance cheated on me with my sister, 28 female. We had never had a good relationship even as kids. So after I found out, I went scorched earth for both of them. She was so in love with my fiance, but he dumped her within 2 weeks and was back trying to get with me to forgive him. I didn't.
Oh my
My
God.
parents were initially on my side, but my sister had a nervous breakdown after she was dumped and was hospitalized, so they changed their tune to "It's over now and you can't be mad forever." So I dumped them too and went to grad school on the other side of the
Oh.
country. I'm for it. I'm for it.
Because as far as I'm concerned, this letter is 10 for 10. Let's get it. I am on
Okay.
her side.
My grandfather was livid with the whole thing, disowned my sister, and chewed out my parents. Sometimes it felt
Mm,
like he was the only one who was on my side and understood. I was able to get
mm.
my job to let me work remotely and moved back to take care of him when he got sick last fall, and I was devastated when he passed away a couple of months ago. I had been in limited contact with my parents since I came back, mostly because I didn't want to be an obstacle to my dad seeing my grandfather, but with the understanding that any discussion of my sister or what happened would end that. It turns out that my grandfather left me virtually everything. He left enough for my father to cover a debt and some token stuff for a couple of other relatives. But he wrote a letter for everyone and did a videotape with his attorney explaining what his intentions were. I knew
I
that
know
he
that's
had done
right.
well for himself, but he lived a pretty simple lifestyle, so I didn't realize how much money and assets he really had. I would give it all up to have my pawpaw back, but even after taxes, it is set for life money. My parents are pretty mad about it. One of the reasons stated for cutting them out was how disappointed my grandfather was with how they had treated me growing up versus my sister and over the fiance debacle. There were other reasons, but that's what they fixated on. The will is pretty airtight apparently, so my parents want me to do the right thing and share it equally between them and my
Mm-mm.
sister. Their argument is that I don't need it. I make more than both of them combined, and this would allow them to retire. My sister is not doing great and can't hold a job, so this would ensure she has something for when my parents pass. I don't want to. My grandfather's wishes were crystal clear, and also I kind of don't feel like doing more than the minimum for any of them. They've been telling me that I'm being vindictive because of a mistake years ago. I can't deny there might be a little vindictiveness there. I don't want them to suffer necessarily, but I also don't feel they deserve my help.
Okay. There's no updates or anything.
Not that I can know. No.
Okay. So this is how I'm gonna break this down. Um, homegirl, I was on your side 110% until the very end. Until the very end. And I'm gonna tell you why. I while I appreciate that you are essentially the sole inheritor of your grandfather's assets and so forth, I don't 100% understand why you are taking, because it is kind of revenge or vengeance out on your parents,
Mm-hmm.
because I can, stepping back from the situation itself, because you can't blame your parents for what your sister and your fiance did, because I'm hearing a lot of fire and a lot of consequences for your family, but I'm not hearing a lot of consequences for your fiance. I mean, he's not necessarily involved in this situation, because he's not entitled to any of the inheritance. But I feel like you got a lot of smoke for your parents, where I don't think is necessarily warranted, only because, of course, this is your parents are going to stick up for their sick child. Like, if she's in the hospital, if she's having a mental breakdown, obviously something is wrong. Like, for her to be admitted to a psychiatric facility means that something is actually going on. They're not just letting people in there willy nilly.
Yeah.
So I can see where they're like, all right, girl, we get it, but don't come in here with that rah rah stuff, for your
Yeah.
sister at this moment, because, she's mentally fragile, and
Right.
at the end of the day, that's still a child,
Right. Right.
whether you feel like they favored her or not, because that sounds like something you need to work out in therapy, to be honest. That
Right.
don't have nothing to do with nobody but you, your parents, and a therapist. I don't think that should necessarily result in you because you're using the money as a get back. Like, you're using the money as a way of punishing your parents. But I feel like the punishment don't necessarily fit the crime,
Right.
to me.
Well, she did say this in the comments. She said it would have been best if they had told me your sister had a breakdown, but it's not your fault or problem. You don't have to see her or talk to her. You're hurt just as badly, and we need to take care of both of you. But that doesn't mean you have to forgive anyone or deal with her. We'll deal with it and find a way to keep things separate. Instead, I got Yeah, it sucks, but it's been 2 weeks. Your sister is suicidal and he hurt you both, so get over it, forgive her, and move on. Don't be selfish. She's family and you can't be mad at her forever. They could have kept a relationship with both of us. It was just too much trouble for them to put forth even a little bit of effort to respect my needs and feelings in the situation.
But that's not what they said though. That's how she perceived it.
Right.
Even in her own words, the way she set that last part up, she didn't say
Mm-hmm.
that's what they said. They
She
essentially
says,
said.
yeah.
So that's how you perceived it, and I don't think it's fair for you to project that because your parents probably said, we need to put this to the side because your sister is going through something, and you
Right.
read all of that stuff into that. And while there may be some truth to it, they're not going to perceive it the same way that you do. And just like you said, that they could have said all of those things to affirm your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
you could have said those same things to them. You could have
Mm-hmm.
expressed that and been like, you know what? I ain't trying to hear that bullshit right now.
Right.
I'm hurt. She's in there because of something that she did to me. She is the root
Right.
cause of her own problems. And that's the way I'm seeing it. So that's why I can't really feel for her like that, because you're expecting something from your parents that you've never gotten, and as far as you told us, you never communicated to them. So instead of communicating that to them and seeking the results, um or working towards the results that you're seeking, you're using the money that your grandfather gave you based on, a moment in time. Because girl, to be honest, you got lucky. You got lucky that your parents fucked up at the finish line as far as your grandfather was concerned, and he took your side.
Mm-hmm.
Because he lived his whole life, and as far as that will was concerned, they were in the will
Mm-hmm.
until the last minute when you got everything because of the situation. So they
Well,
were in his good
possibly.
graces,
Well, he
possibly. But
did say, but he did say, like, while the fiance debacle was one of them, he also said the way they treated one sister versus the other, like in general, I guess growing
mm-hmm,
up wise, that was another factor. So the parents might not have
mm.
ever been in the will because of how he saw them parenting one child versus another. But I will
But I would
say,
assume that they were, because he specifically mentioned this situation. It seemed like this situation was the straw that broke the camel's back for him.
right. And it could have been. I, I will say personally, like, you know, while I understand all that, I understand, what you're saying with the response because, like you said, the sister is still their child. They still have to. The root of this, though, is that they want money that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't given to them. And so
Mm.
when you talk about the roots of it, you know, I don't think I would be, especially since he just passed, I wouldn't be thinking about trying to make decisions about, if I'm having, especially if I don't have good relationship right now, I probably wouldn't be thinking about, oh, okay, let's split all this money. No, I would probably be like, I will help cover her medical expenses. I will help you with whatever
Mm.
debt you guys have. But you
Mm.
feeling like you're entitled to something when his last wishes were that you were not. I don't think you're an asshole for not wanting to immediately just divide everything up,
Yeah,
and give them what they want when
I agree.
he didn't want that. So in
I
that
agree.
case, in that case, that's why I'm like, yeah, you're not the asshole in that case, because when it comes to money,
Mm.
that's the first thing that your family's going to ask for. They see that you have
Yeah.
all this money, and regardless of what you do for your job or you're doing, you know, the fact that they're essentially demanding that you do this, you do the right thing, and you give them
Yeah.
all, you split it and share it with them like that.
Yeah.
You're not entitled to it either. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he could have very well just been like, you know what, this is all going to charity. This is all going to, this isn't going to. He didn't have to leave any of y'all anything. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the entitlement for me that you think you get to have this.
And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm with you on that same wavelength, but I think where we deviate is I don't think the sister deserves shit because the sister is on the
Yeah.
same playing field as you, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like you're like stepping away from what your parents feel like they're entitled to, stepping
Yeah.
away from that. I think that she's punishing them for taking the sister's
Yeah.
side when
Side.
I don't think that they necessarily took her side. I
Yeah,
think
I agree with
they're
you.
just looking at it from a perspective of, this is still our child and our child is
Mhm.
going through something and we don't want our child to get worse and
Mhm.
our child to, commit suicide
Yeah.
or anything, irrational, like which we understand that this is a very sensitive topic, but now this has evolved past that to involve
Mhm.
us keeping our child alive.
Mhm.
So that's where that's where the differentiation is for me.
No, I feel you on that. I
I
get
don't
I
think she
now that
should punish her parents for that.
yeah, now that when you've explained it that way, like yeah, I agree with you on that. I think she is probably punishing her parents for that because let's be real, if her sister had
Yeah.
succeeded and killed herself, this would probably be a whole different story, you know.
Situation. You
It
know
would
what
be a
I'm saying?
situation, yes. But you know what?
Yeah.
If this has all happened within the last few weeks, she probably just needs more time to calm down, to let emotions
Hey,
settle.
and
And I
that's
think
and
I
that's
think in the
exactly where
long
I'm. Yeah.
run, I think in the long run, you know, sh- hopefully she'll be able to when the anger has left a little bit, that she'll be able to see that
Hmm.
her parents were just worried about their other child as well, because while she
Exactly.
was hurting, this person was could have been dying, I guess.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
So, I'm with
And
you on
don't
that.
give your
But I still
sister
say
a penny.
no,
Okay?
and
I'm not
I
saying give your
still
sister no
think
money. Don't
right.
give her a dime.
Right.
Okay? Give your
So, I
parents
still say you're
some
not the
money because they
asshole.
ain't do nothing wrong.
Right.
But don't give your sister a goddamn copper penny.
Right.
Don't give her nothing.
You
Because
know,
she deserved
like
to be punished.
if it was me, I would probably just maybe help out medical wise, but I don't think I'm going to be setting her up for
Yeah.
a life of
Yeah.
luxury, because
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
she's out of the hospital and she's
That's your
on the men,
business.
then I'm pissed at you again. Okay, you're good.
Yep.
Don't talk to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. If I can help you not be in medical debt, I'll do that.
Right.
But if I can make sure that you don't see a penny of this money, oh, best believe that's gonna be my first priority.
Right.
My
It's
first
this
priority.
it would be a don't call me, I'll call you. Thanks.
Uh-huh. And I'm gonna make sure that we go on nice vacations, me and the
Mhm.
rest of the family. And you know what? I'm gonna make sure that you're in the group chat and we're gonna send you all the pictures. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be doing shots at the bar. I'm be
That's where the
boy, let me
pettiness
tell
comes
you
out.
something. Woo! Let me tell you something. Ooh, Crystal,
So,
that was a good one. That was a good
that
one.
was a good one. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
All right.
me too.
So, that was our first episode.
That was the inaugural episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all so much for being here with us. We hope that y'all enjoyed it. I know that y'all can hear that my voice is on its way out the door. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up. If y'all want to send us a letter, if y'all want us to give you advice, on the same wavelength that we just broke down this last letter, please send us a letter anonymously, please. Don't send us a letter from an email that says, Catherine Harris at AOL.com. Don't, because Catherine Harris, I will say your whole government name. Make sure you send it from something anonymous. Or, if you don't have an anonymous email, make sure you mention in the letter that this is anonymous. Use fake names. And you can send that to teandcrystal@gmail.com. That's teandcrystal@gmail.com. You can catch the full video of this podcast on YouTube by searching Tea and Crystal Podcast. You can find us on TikTok. You can find some little snippets and things. You never know. You might get some little sneak peeks for future episodes on TikTok at Tea and Crystals Podcast. Find us on Facebook. That's probably where we're going to be interacting with y'all the most. Leave us some comments. Let us know what y'all think about the episodes on Facebook at Tea and Crystals Podcast. And also find us on Instagram. We may do some anonymous, questions and different things like that on Instagram stories. So find us on Instagram at Tea and Crystals Pod. Is there anything else that you want to say to the people before we get out of here, Crystal?
Yes, just a few things. I want to first give a quick shout out to one of my favorite cousins who I absolutely adore. Her name is Vicky. She runs a shop. It's called the Stone Collector. It is a crystal spiritual shop, meditation, and Reiki. She has cute little things. I mean, you can kind of see it back here. There's like little crystals and stuff like that. And then she has things like this. It's a water ball. Can I speak?
Now she got a water ball. What is a water ball?
A water bottle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for bed too, and it's only like 5:00 here.
5:00.
But she has it's like this, a crystal in a water bottle. Just little things. She also has a yoga studio above the shop that she teaches classes at. She is located in Massachusetts. So if you're in the Massachusetts area, the Northborough area, that's where she's located. But you can find her on Instagram at _stone_collector. I know she's mentioned possibly setting up an online shop, and if she does, I will definitely let you guys know so you can go online and shop from afar.
Y'all gonna have to fight me because I'm gonna be in their shop as soon as it opens. So y'all better get ready.
In the meantime, if you're at least in the Massachusetts area, definitely go check her out. Her name is Vicky or Victoria. Let her know that I sent you, and that I love her. And then the other thing is, I want to give you guys a heads up that in a few weeks we're going to be doing a true crime episode. Ooh. And during that true crime episode, we're going to be talking about a Netflix documentary. I forgot the name of it, but I will definitely let you know next episode what it is, because if you guys want to not be spoiled, I want you to go ahead and check it out beforehand. If you don't care about being spoiled, then obviously, feel free to listen. But we are definitely going to be doing a little bit of a recap about it. We're going to be talking about our thoughts and feelings about it. I'm really excited for that one.
Check our socials when this episode drops. We will definitely remind y'all of what that documentary is called. From what I remember, you can find it on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, you should be fine. You should be able to find this documentary. Maybe they have it on Google, the Google store as well. Mm-hmm. But we'll definitely put the name of the documentary in the description.
And if you want to have your own opinions about it, possibly read out during the podcast, go ahead and email us what your thoughts are on it. Any sort of comments you want to say about it. Hit us up in the comment section if you want to. You can put it there too. We might pick out some little comments too.
And if you don't want to get cussed out, go to Grammarly.com, paste your message in Grammarly.com, and let Grammarly's AI fix your message for you. Yes. And I don't care if you have to buy the premium. We're
gonna roll it back to the Hook on Phonics, y'all.
Listen, because I was hooking on the phonic during the summertime. That shout out to my Aunt Karen. Okay, she had us on hooked on phonics every summer. Okay.
But yeah, I'm really happy you guys have joined us. I hope you guys will be joining us on our next episode. And we'll see you
until next time.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye, y'all.